Hi, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. Welcome. Well, we're really here to, or I'm really here to tell you about what happened in our day with Desiree. So we picked her up very early in the morning. Pastor Timio picked her up on the motorcycle and brought her to the main road for us so that we didn't have that difficult ride down halfway. What happens is we take the truck halfway down and then we can't take it any further. There are crops there which can't be disturbed by widening the path. So we have to leave the truck and then walk down to Desiree's, as you may have seen on some of the other videos. Now, just to give you a recap on Desiree. Desiree is the girl that was suddenly crippled by a disease that as yet has been accurately diagnosed. So what's the update? Well, we went and we sat around and waited down there in Taliban. It's a first come first served situation for Dr. C. Now we've been to see, no pun intended, we've been to see Dr. C before, and we felt that he could give a common sense view on what is happening with Desiree, which is something of a mystery. She was suddenly struck down with this malady which has gradually wasted her muscles away. Now, for my layman's view of this is that I think, as you may have heard Dr. C in the little snippet of video that Beth did take while we were in the doctor's office, what should have happened when Desiree first noticed this loss of strength, which is easy to say now, of course, but not so easy back then. If she noticed she did notice the drop in her strength, so that would have been a good time to actually do something and get the tests done then. That's when something has started to happen, so there's been a recent change. Well, she didn't do that. So what did she do? Well, she didn't actually do nothing for quite a time, and then I think that she went and had some tests done. Now, what has emerged as the most sensible observation so far was with Dr. C, and he said, these tests are no good. They're no longer any good. They may have given some information at the time, but he looked through all of the tests and he said they didn't reveal anything. There was, according to the tests, there's nothing there. So he was indicating that there is an element in the muscles which needs a certain compound, call it a compound or a nutrient or something that the body produces in order to be able to keep the muscles in good trim according to the needs of the body. Well, that didn't happen, and here we are now with some tests which are too old. Now, we learned, coincidentally, with our kidney stone man, we learned from the doctor there at the hospital that if the tests are too older than 2 weeks, then they're not taken as valid if you're having an operation. So you take all the tests and you have to have the operation that those tests say you are fit to survive within 2 weeks. If not, you're going to have to do them again, and that's what we may have to do with the kidney stone couple. Not the couple, of course, the wife's not taking the operation, but the husband is. Not to make light of that, okay? So, if he doesn't manage to get into surgery on the 24th, then they're looking at getting him in later, which might mean that the tests that he's had done very recently may not be valid. And if it goes up into April, then we definitely will be looking at having to have those tests done again. If it's all good news and he gets the operation on Wednesday, or not Wednesday, on a Friday, if that operation goes ahead, he's on standby. In other words, if they have time to squeeze another operation in, it will be his, and that's on a busy schedule or on a Friday for surgeries. So that's the situation on him quickly. Now, as far as Desiree goes, all that we've done is just find out more questions than answers, as the old 60s or 70s song said. There are more questions than answers. So what's evidently coming about is that if there is nothing wrong as far as the brain goes, the scan that they did on the head did not reveal any abnormalities, and neither did the MRI. So no abnormalities were shown in any of the tests so far. So I guess what the doctor is saying is that we need tests which are not of that kind. So it may be into doing biopsies of the muscles themselves, but he wasn't optimistic about that even, because he said, well, the muscles are now atrophied. I'm not inclined to believe that from my layman's point of view. So we're actually looking at the challenge of getting Desiree to Manila. Now this is quite a trip that it's going to be, because we have to take her through to a hospital where they do the more advanced work. It's going to take some real detective work to find out what's wrong with this lady. So that's what we're up against right now. We have a limited amount of money. It actually is only 7,000, because in order to meet another emergency with a brother, 3,000 was taken from that 7. It may or may not be replaced this weekend. That struggle is still happening. But we have Stephen, our angel in Hong Kong. He flies a drone over Hong Kong, and I think he got his angel's wings as well, because he has pledged that the rest of the money up to say 7, up to an extra 7 or perhaps even 10,000 pesos will be met by him. Now, here's our challenge right now. We have to get Desiree and one other companion, because Filipinos don't travel alone, and she would want either a husband or a sister or possibly a mom to go with her, even though we will be going with her. Now, why is it necessary for us to go? We have to be there to take decisions, as we are with the kidney stone couple. Did we send them up there alone? No. They are lost once they get into the big city. Does that make us so cool? Not really, but Beth knows how to negotiate within the structure of a hospital, because she worked for nearly 8 years in the Sacred Heart Hospital. So she knows the ropes, and she gets things done. She is incredible. So what do? Well, as I've said before, they prop me up in a corner and I wait. I'm the driver. So we got that done, and we're there for the kidney stone couple, and in the same way we've got to be there for Desiree and whoever she takes. So our challenge will be to try to persuade, as the doctor said today, this is an unusual case, it's not a clear-cut thing, and it may well be of interest in a clinical sense for the hospital to take on her case for no fees. So none of the tests may be charged for. That's our hope. Of course, we'd be going on a wing on a prayer if we just say got on a flight, even if we could afford it right now, which we can't, and go to Manila and just front in. It's a government hospital, okay, so it's first come, first served. You walk in there and say, here I am. And then you tell them what's wrong or what you think is wrong, and then they either do something or they don't, or they charge you or they don't, or they charge you greater or lesser. It's all down to presenting yourself there and then trying to get something done. Well, we're ready to do that, but we have no idea how long that will take. So it is a challenge, and it's going to take some organization, but we're ready to do that, and have actually started putting out the hopes and the dreams that this girl can be made to walk again. It's a heartbreaking thing to watch someone so young and so cheerful and optimistic and uncomplaining be so restricted in her movement. She literally can hardly lift her legs. That's why she needs that walking frame. We asked, would crutches be better? And she said she tried them, but no, it's just too much for her. So the good news is that we have a wheelchair. We have a wheelchair for her, and that's going to be donated by, or we think it's donated, if not we'll buy it, by a medical mission that is coming to Dubai to deal with hair-lip kids. I'm saying kids. We're going to be taking a small kid from the internet cafe that we go to, and this little kid comes in every day and he steals your heart, and you give him a few pesos and he goes away happily, and he buys something at the sari sari store. But he's got a hair lip. We don't know the extent of his problem, but it sounds a little bit like cleft palate as well, for all I know. So that's what's happening on Desiree. Now, if you were hoping to see Beth and I fooling around and being silly, sorry, it's been a bit serious, but these are human challenges that any one of us could face tomorrow. So we're getting some help in there. We're trying to do our best with what we have. That's always our motto, to do our best, do what we can with what we have. So we'll keep you informed about Desiree, and you will be seeing her again. From me, foreigner in the Philippines, bye for now.